Good afternoon to those joining us from the United Kingdom, and good morning to those connecting from Mexico and other parts of the world. My name is Grecia Suarez, and I am part of the team at the UNAM UK Center for Mexican Studies. We are also joined by Dr. Antonio del Rio, Director of the UNAM UK, who will be supporting us in moderating the Q&A session. Today, we are delighted to present the seminar entitled Beyond the Algorithm, Professionalism as the Definitive Edge in the AI Era. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Paula Bonilla. Paula Bonilla is a lecturer in legal English and legal translation at the Faculty of Law and ENALLT at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. She brings over 2 decades of experience as a legal translator and educator, with a strong focus on precision, context, and professional practice in specialized fields. She has worked for more than 10 years in various federal government institutions in Mexico, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Economy, and the Ministry of Energy, where she developed extensive expertise in legal translation. She is also certified legal translator authorized by the judicial authorities of Mexico, and her work focuses on legal translation as well as academic and personal documentation for international and migration purposes. Before we begin, just a brief note. This session is being live streamed via YouTube. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. We will address them during the Q&A session at the end. We are truly delighted to have her with us today. Paula, thank you very much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Grecia, and thank you to Dr. Del Rio for the kind invitation to join you all in this wonderful seminar series, which I feel very honored to have with you today. And welcome to all who are connecting from YouTube in UNAM UK channel. I hope this talk that we will have today will be very beneficial to you. But the title of this chat, of this talk that we're going to have today, sounds like very professional, and it also sounds probably to some very personal as well. To me, this is a very personal talk, and I want to share with you some points of view on how to live as a professional in this AI era. But let me start with this. 25 years ago, I began my career with a legal code in one hand and a typewriter in the other hand. Back in the day, a cloud was just something that brought rain. And the idea of machine translating a document was pure science fiction, or a movie with robots who wanted to take over the universe. Today, most of us are facing this collective anxiety, the fear of being replaced by an algorithm, the fear of being taken over by a machine. But today, I'm not here to talk about the power of technology. We're all well aware of that. I'm here to talk today about the limits that these machines have. I'm here today to share with you some ideas on why, in an age of automated everything, your judgment and your professional seal is the most valuable currency in the world. We're here to learn together how to be creative minds who guide and who operate these machines that will apparently take our places at some point. So let's begin. Let's talk about our definitive edge. Can we please share the first slide? Thank you so much. So the question is, what is the edge? Well, if we want to clarify what I mean by the edge, let me tell you this. In English, edge can be the border of something, like the border of your desk. That's the edge of your desk. But in a professional context, having an edge means having a decisive advantage. So let's put it in a very simple equation. The edge equals competitive advantage plus human judgment. This is that extra something, that sharpness that makes you stand out from the whole crowd. It's the difference between a knife that simply exists in your kitchen and that knife, that special knife that we all have in our homes, that is sharp enough to cut through every complexity. So, throughout this talk, whenever I refer to edge, I mean your human professional judgment. That unique, that particular combination of experience, ethics, and of course, specialized knowledge that an algorithm can, yeah, it can simulate that, but it never truly possesses it. It's that competitive advantage in a world of automated copies. So that edge is not just about knowing something. It's about knowing why. That why is what differentiates us here. Can we go to the next slide, please? The human algorithm. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Well, let me tell you, I am a human algorithm. 25 years ago, as I mentioned, I started with this code in my hand and the typewriter in the other. 25 years ago, that's my evolution. I went through typewriters to paper dictionaries to large language models. Because as Grecia mentioned when we started this talk, I am not only an attorney, I am a certified translator. But most of the time I work in my professional field, what I do is I translate documents. So at that time, 25 years ago, 20 years ago, my workstation, which just was a huge personal computer, didn't really have high-speed internet like the one that we have now that allows us to have this chat together. And there was no cloud access. As I mentioned, a cloud was just something that the weather brought one day, and then it brought rain. I had a typewriter. I had a stack of paper dictionaries that I had to flip through for hours in order to translate the document. Back then, AI was just something we saw in science fiction movies. But then, fast forward to today, and in my practice as a certified translator, as a professor, what I have seen is that technologies that seem revolutionary one day disappear overnight because something else, something new, something faster, something modern comes and takes their place. But one thing has never changed throughout those 25 years. I have never seen the need for a true expert vanish. I have seen technologies die, but experts remain. And that's what I mean by the human algorithm. It's the accumulation of thousands of decisions, of errors, and successes that build our professional judgment. Doesn't matter where you are at in professional life right now. You might be starting your degree, you might be midway, or you probably have finished, you're pursuing a master's. I don't know. Maybe you have been here in the job field for many more years than I have been. But one thing is sure, we are here because we are experts in whatever we do. Today I hear students and too I hear veterans Well, let's not call veterans. We're vintage generation. And I hear both groups express a very deep fear of being replaced. There are multiple studies out there, statistics, analysis, and research on how AI is apparently taking the places of humans. But I know you're in the chat, you have a chat available on YouTube. So if you're there, just let me know in the comments with your reactions. Who, in all honesty, has felt intimidated by AI at least once in your workplace, at school, when doing research? I would be the first to say I have. I have been there. I feel you. I know how it feels. And I want to validate that fear. But let me challenge the fear. Let me not embrace, but challenge it. Because one thing is true, we're not competing against machines. It seems as we are, but we are really not. What we are competing against is our own willingness to remain stagnant, to sit in what we all know is called this comfort zone, comfortable seat, that I know what I know and that's enough. Okay, not now, not in the place where we are at with technology coming from every point and are all around us. So once we reach a professional goal, an academic goal that we have worked so hard to obtain, and then seeing how people around say, I asked ChatGPT about this, or Gemini gave me a fantastic summary on that, or Claude gave me a very detailed opinion on such and such. Of course, it feels as if we better start looking for something else to do. Like, I won't be able to practice my profession anymore because there's a tool, and let me stress that out, a tool that apparently knows more than I do. Well, it feels as if we were like doomed from the very first moment. But tools have changed. From the typewriter I knew 25 years ago to large language models right now to a zillion different tools and apps and technologies that make my work easier and faster. Yeah, but that edge, remember the competitive advantage, the edge remains the same. It's the irreplaceable power of the human mind. Now, the next slide, please. There's something that should be our hallmark, and that hallmark is precision. And the world where I live in every day, which is the legal world and the linguistic world, we often hear that AI has reached and people say, human level performance. Well, I highly doubt that. As a certified translator, as an attorney, as a professor, I have learned that there is a massive difference between a translation that it sounds right and one that is truly right. It's a big gap in between. Algorithms, we all know that, work on probability. They predict the next most likely world based on a database, the database that someone put in. But as professionals, what we do is we don't offer probability. What we do is we offer certainty. And that's what people are looking for when they come to. For example, when I sign an expert opinion for the court, I am not just delivering a document, a paper with text and a stamp and a signature. What I am doing for my client is I am providing them with a shield because I'm telling the judge and I'm telling the client and I'm also telling the legal world, this particular term that you're reading here is accurate. And it's accurate not because I liked how it sounds, not because I found it in my most recent search with the most modern AI tool. It's accurate because of a legal framework that is so precise that no algorithm can yet grasp it. And this is called the responsibility gap. AI cannot be held liable in a courtroom. AI is not going to come and stand before the judge and defend its choices. But the definitive edge, as a translator, for example, is our ability to take responsibility of our words, ensuring that every nuance is well protected by human judgment, not by how many AIs I checked before I delivered the document. So if I can put it all together in one phrase, technical precision is a shield, not just a skill. But for that, let me put a very practical case. And that practical case is in the next slide, please. Let me show you one case that's very common to see when we're translating documents, academic documents. And I called it the GPA trap. So there's an issue here. There's a problem. When we are translating academic transcripts, the list of subjects that you took when you went to school and the grade you obtained for them, that information, that's an academic transcript. When we're doing this translation process and we ask AI to translate a certain paragraph, or maybe some people do like the whole document, AI often automatically converts a Mexican scale, an overall average from 1 to 10, 1 to 100, into a US scale, a GPA. But grading scales are different in each country. So, for example, I can have a transcript from a student who got a overall average of 98 throughout their bachelor's degree. And if I ask the AI to translate that, AI would automatically say GPA 98, which actually does not exist because GPA is a 0 to 4.0 or any other type of grading scale. So the human edge here is equivalences are within the jurisdiction of educational authorities. First of all, I, as a certified translator, I cannot convert a grading scale that's valid in Mexico to another grading scale that's valid in another country because I can't do that. It's not within my power or authority. Plus, it would not make sense because, as I said, grading scale in Mexico is from 1 to 10, and the GPA has a very different grading scale. So what do I do here? AI says one thing, but I know from experience, from research, from preparation, that that's not an accurate decision to make. So what I do as a professional is I translate the grade as it appears. And maybe I will have to provide some context for the person on the other country to understand what this information refers to, but I would never convert that. AI seeks convenience. It's convenient because it's understandable. Yeah, GPA overall average. Well, yes, they're similar, but the professional will seek for certainty, for precision, not just for what's best, what's understandable out there. My edge in this case, for example, is to protect the student's future from being rejected to, I don't know, a master's degree program due to an unauthorized, calculation of a very important data in their academic transcript. So I have to tell if I will follow AI by heart or should I make my own decision based on what I know already. Now, there's something important here. It's not that we have to not use AI? Well, it is there. Let's take full advantage of that. But in order to do so, there is something to be done beyond the output of whatever we ask the AI about. And that one is the consultant's edge. Can you please go to the next slide? It's the expert edge. So the output that we will get from an AI when we ask is a process that has happened in this AI engine tool. And it just worked with all the information and it just gives us an output. But we have to enter into the era of managing meanings. Because today, you and I, anyone with access to AI, can produce a very fluent sounding text just clicking. I mean, I type a prompt, a very solid prompt, and I click, and then boom, in a split second, I get a very nice sounding text. But let me tell you something, that fluency is many times just an illusion. In an environment like legal environment, like at the academic environment, a misplaced term, a different nuance to a certain word or expression isn't just like a stylistic flaw. It's a legal risk in many cases. So this is a very point where we shift from being a service provider in whatever profession you work at to becoming a strategic consultant. Because our value as professionals, whether you're finishing your bachelor's, you're pursuing a master's, or you're considering maybe the possibility of studying a specialized course on something of your interest, that's where our ability to understand the logic behind the text is at. So, yes, AI gives me a text, it gives me an output of whatever question I made to it. But for instance, us translator, we don't just translate languages. We don't just translate word to word in Spanish and a word in English, because that won't make sense anyways. What we do is we have to put culture and legal systems and intentions into this equation in order to get a precise output, the output that a consultant would give, because a consultant has experience, a consultant has knowledge. So in a world, in today's world actually, where fast and cheap content is everywhere, human judgment has become this new luxury. So one thing that we need to remember is that the algorithm produces text, but a professional, a professional provides a solution to the problem they're facing. That's why they call the expert in the first place. But for that, let me show you another case so that we can put this in a very practical way. So this next case is a case on the use of a certain term that sounds correct in one sense, but is unnatural in the other sense. In that case, I called it the celebrated versus solemnized. This is the issue here. So on religious marriage certificates, the marriage is solemnized in English. If I asked AI, can you please translate this phrase? The AI will translate into Spanish as solemnizado. But something starts just like sounding funny in my ears. Because in my human edge, my linguistic antenna says, this is not necessarily right in my legal system. In my legal system in Mexico, a marriage is not solemnizado, solemnized, but celebrated, celebrado. It has taken place, but it has taken place in a certain form and a certain tradition, if you may. But the very word I want to use is not solemnizado, but celebrado, because that's what our legal culture uses. Our not only the legal culture, because I said that this is a religious marriage, but like the general culture, that's what it says. So I make a professional decision here. Do I use the AI term because it sounds right? Or do I use a term I know from experience, from preparation, because I have been multiple times searching for what's the right way to say things? And of course, the decision I will make is I will use a term that resonates in my local legal culture or local religious culture, or even in the very context of the group, the society group where these people got married. So I have to ensure that the text uses the language of law and it just not is the machine generated version of it. It sounds right. Solemnized, solemnizado. Yeah, why not? But I know from my experience, from my precision, that this is not the right way to translate this. Hope I'm making sense here. Now let me show you a third case. Case number 3, the gray cat. So here, the problem is English adjectives are gender neutral. So if I ask AI, can you please translate the gray cat? It has a 50-50% chance of getting the gender right in Spanish. Why? Because I only said cat. I didn't provide further context. So from the human perspective again, I know the subject. I know this one that you're seeing here is a gata, a female cat. Why? Because I have the context and because this is my cat. So I know, and I know better and I know more than the AI here. So what do I do? Well, the professional decision to make here is to ask, to investigate, to verify, and after that, only after putting my human algorithm in this equation, I can choose the right term. Otherwise, I'm just operating in a vacuum as an AI does. Why? Because they don't know nothing until we prompt the AI. And if I don't do it correctly or with sufficient information, most probably I will get an output that is not exactly what I was looking for. So AI operates in a vacuum. Humans, we operate in reality. We know, we feel on like in these gaps that data leaves behind. They don't know. They're not ready for that unless I provide them with all the information. And still, I have to validate once I get whatever I ask the AI. So up to this moment, we have talked about, okay, so AI is good, but I still have to participate in here. But we all know that in the process of asking AIs multiple times to multiple engines, multiple people throughout the world, chances say that there will come a moment where AI has so much knowledge already, so much data that has been input into their engines that they will be humans or human-like, as I said at the very beginning of this talk. So what does the future mean to us right now? What does it show to us, like in a short, mid-term, long-term? What am I exactly to expect from the future in whatever profession or activity you perform? Well, it's not just like as if we are sitting in a roller coaster, just aiming directly at some point, or maybe, I don't know, like a cannonball, like a human cannonball, just waiting to be aimed somewhere and just being shot and let's see where I land at. No. The thing here is that we're in a point where that human edge, that precision, that competitive advantage that we all have as experts is what we call the future proofing for all of our careers. Can you please show me the next slide? Thank you. So, how do we prove, how do we shield ourselves towards a technological future? Well, one of the most dangerous myths that we hear today is that once you finish your degree, you're done learning. And I know some of my students, sometimes I see them in the classroom and they're in ninth semester and 10th semester, and they're like, oh, please, let's just finish. I want to go home. I want to go get a job, and I want to earn more money, and I need to have all the time for myself. I know that I was there. Remember 25 years ago, back in the dinosaur age, I was there too. The thing is, in this age of artificial intelligence, our edge is not just a trophy, a diploma, a medal to just bring home and put it on our wall and watch it every day and say, oh, that looks so nice with my name in it. This is more like a blade. Remember the knife I told you we'll have at home in our kitchen? Well, that blade must be sharpened daily in order to fulfill its function. If it's not sharp, it will not cut appropriately. And if it's not sharp, but then I have another better, sharper knife, I will use the other one. So here at UNAM, all of us, we know that academic life does not stop once we get our degree. We know the value of continuous education. And let's now add this to our list of things to do. Continuous education is not a burden. It is the greatest form of resilience in this technological era. This continuous education is what makes you and I stronger against every algorithm update. Because for AI to be stronger or to be better prepared, it needs a human that brings more information to it. So it's not like what was first, the hen or the egg. It's always a human first. The human that thinks, that human that is creative, that human that stays one day in the office or in the research lab thinking, oh, how can we make this better? How can we find a solution? How can I do this in order to solve that? So this is what will prevent us from falling into the trap of fear that I have seen many colleagues of mine fall into. Let me tell you this, fear only grows when preparation stops. Let me repeat that again. Fear only grows where preparation stops. But if I invest on a specialization, if we refine our skills, then our relationship with technology will be different. I will no longer see it as Goliath standing just in front of me, huge, big, gigantic, and I am this tiny little human there trying to find its way out. No, no longer. And I like to think it this way. The algorithm is a ceiling. It's a cap for those who refuse to prepare. But for those who do prepare, this algorithm is not going to limit how far they can go. For us who embrace growth, for us who embrace preparation, the algorithm becomes a floor, and it's a solid foundation that allows us to reach even higher levels of excellence. So, where do you want to be? Do you want to be on the side where AI is just as much as you can know, as much as you can learn, as much as you can process in your brain? Well, no, it has to change positions. We are over that. We are first. We are the creators of knowledge in every specific area we'll work at. So AI is not to be seen as a threat, as a danger, as the giant that's going to come and take our place. No, let's slay the head of the giant. And let me show you in the next slide, please. Let me show you another case. This case, case number 4, is a case also related to translation and to terminology. And this is one of the cases, because all these cases, I have to say, they have happened to me. I read things that I have seen in most recent times, and this happened just like a month ago. So, the bachelor's versus the licentiate. Let me tell you a story. So, a person contacted me and said, I have already translated my academic documents into English because I am pursuing a master's in Europe. So I just need you to validate and seal them. And of course, sign and say that I translated as a certified translator as the process goes. So first of all, I say, no, I can't do that because law compels me to not just validate or certify something that I did not translate personally. But anyways, I told the person, okay, well, just send me your documents so that I can check. And she insisted that she wanted to send me her translation into English because then she confessed that she had translated that with AI tool, whatever. So I started like reading, going through this document, and I came to the degree, to the diploma, and I read licentiate in her profession. And I was like, no, I know that licenciatura in Spanish, it's not licentiate in English. I know that for sure. I have been working in this for so many years that I'm well aware that it is not right. So I asked her again, so you told me that you translated this, and that's where she confessed. No, uh, I asked this AI tool to transcribe the text, and then I asked this other tool to translate it into English because it was faster. And then I realized, oh, so that was the problem. The thing is that AI translates licenciatura in Spanish as licentiate in English. And that's a term that actually exists in the dictionary. It's not that it was wrong, but it's confusing in practice. None of us hold a licentiate degree. We hold a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. That's the name that we know that is used and has been used forever in the academic world. So I know the human edge. I know through research, I know through hard data, I know through experience, and of course, I know through preparation that this licenciatura that this person had completed is a bachelor's degree. So what do I do? Again, I'm just like in this crossroads to make a professional decision. So do I trust the AI? Do I trust whatever this person had sent me? And she said, I just processed this through 2 different AI engines in order to validate. She said, I wanted to validate the content, the text, and I had to tell her it's not accurate because I know. And in the translation process, this concept of the degree in from one academic culture into another academic culture, it's not just a process of translating the word or just using a dictionary without further context. I know that the term is different. So AI translates words, but professionals, they translate life opportunities. Can you imagine if I had just trusted whatever this person had sent me? And if I had taken this text without human processing and just put my stamp and my signature and this endorsement legend that says that I translated to the best of my knowledge, that I have experience in Spanish and English and all that. Well, I would have a very big issue because I am taking legal liability on this text that I did not process. Plus, most probably this translation wouldn't make any sense in the culture where this person was intending to bring the document to. They might have had a chance to interpret, but what if the authority or the educational institution said, I don't even understand what you're saying in this document. I don't know what a licentiate is, so I'm sorry, you're going to have a place here. Wow, that would be a very big issue because this person wouldn't have had a chance to take advantage of this opportunity that she had to pursue a master's degree in another country. You see, you see how the human edge is needed? And it's just not the human edge like, I don't like how it sounds. It's, I know this is not right. I know this is in a different way. I know because I have studied, I have prepared for this. So let's start closing this talk together. It sounds as if, oh gosh, so there's so many issues going on in the world, and we now add another with the AI. Well, let me give you a little bit of hope today. Whether you're in the morning here in Mexico or you're in the evening in the other side of the world, let me give you hope today. So, to the youth who are joining us today, let me tell you this. You, my friends, you are the architects, and AI is just a hammer. Don't let these tools intimidate you. Learn how to use them, control them, master them, but never let them design your vision. They're just a tool. They're just something that you can put in your pocket. This bag that you bring with you every day to school or to work or to whatever you're doing, your internship, add the AI to that bag, but let it not guide your steps, wherever you're going. Now, to my fellow veterans, to my vintage generation, our experience is the most precious asset that we have now. AI has massive amounts of data. We know that. There's been people who have been putting information in there for years. But one thing AI lacks is wisdom, human wisdom. AI knows the what, but only human wisdom knows the why. So I invite you all to make excellence your signature, your hallmark, your distinctive feature. Let this hallmark of your work be the visible care you put in whatever you do every day, into the deep thinking and protecting a message, a work, an invention that only a human mind can provide. Future does not belong to machines. It doesn't even belong to the fastest machines. It belongs to professionals. Those professionals who refuse to settle for anything less than extraordinary. You and I were created to be extraordinary, and our edge, our professional edge, should be excellence. So, to finish, the last slide. Your humanity is your greatest competitive advantage in today's world. So beyond the algorithm, you and I exist and bring value to this world. Thank you so much for your attention. These are my contact data in case you want to contact me further. Thank you so much to UNAM UK Dr. Del Rio, Grecia, and Nat, too, for this wonderful opportunity to share this with you this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paula Bonilla. I really enjoy your talk. Really, I congratulate you because you are a wonderful expositor. And
You
we
bet.
have some questions in the way in our media. And the first is, you describe professionalism as a key differentiator in the AI era. What specific skills do you think will become most valuable in the coming years?
Well, that's a very huge question to ask. But let me start with saying what I have been mentioning throughout this talk. Knowing how to use technology for our advantage is definitely a skill. We cannot ignore the fact that AI is everywhere, and not only AI, but other apps. I mean, if you just open your mobile, you can see how many apps you have, and they come from the manufacturer, and they are meant to be tools to make our life easier, to simplify processes, to gain more access to other types of knowledge, etc. So knowing how to use those apps or tools or software is definitely something that we need to know. Um, Let me go a little bit back in 5 years. When did we start the pandemic? 2019? I don't even remember. When we're in the pandemic times, I remember that many of us who were teachers, like in like classroom, we had to switch like from one day to the other to a digital world. We had to go in this virtual learning environment. And some of us were not really aware how to use the tools. I mean, Zoom has been there for many more years than that, but we had to learn how to use this Zoom, and we still have some issues. I had some issues today with my presentation, remember that. So learning how to use those tools and not let them be an obstacle or an advantage is definitely one skill. And there's multiple courses right now to learn how to use that. And one thing that I also find very valuable are those continuous education courses that are not only like a specialization on your topic of experience, like, for example, in me, my experience is in law and translation in languages. But I have also completed a number of courses, and actually some of them were with UNAM. They offered courses for professors on how to use AI in our classroom. So that's fantastic. I learned how to make an escape room through AI. So that's wonderful. And I think that's the skill that we need to learn how to master. That would be my answer. Technology for our
Mm,
advantage.
Perfect. I think that this is the topic that Scary Caricatura is mentioned in our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Um, Says, how about not seeing AI only as a floor, but also as a springboard?
Absolutely. Well, we as professors in general, I have seen like two groups. The group that is still like no technology in my classroom. I don't like that. I prefer 100% human work in my classroom. And there's another group of people that say, okay, well, it's there already. Let's use it for our advantage. So yeah, AI is not stagnant, is not like still. So yeah, it could be seen as a brick to bring us on a little bit higher, like a step. But if used in a right way, I definitely think it could also be a springboard. If we know how to process the output of the AI to our advantage. Anything that AI gives you that is not afterwards seen, verified, revised by a human is just the perfect formula for failure. I mean, and even in the simplest things. So it's always like the hand of the human there. So AI is a tool. That should be always our main concept to remember. AI is a tool. It's not our lead. It's not my limit. It's not a cage. And it also is not like my encyclopedia for everything. It has knowledge, but it's not necessarily correct. Remember, there's a human behind. And if that human made a mistake, that mistake enters into the algorithm.
Thank you. I know that you mentioned something about this, but there is a question. Listen, from your perspective, how can universities better prepare students for an AI-driven labor market?
Okay. That is on, yeah, it's a joint team effort. On the one side, the university, yes, they can provide additional courses, continuous education, seminars and webinars like the one that we are at now. That's one thing. I give it to you. And you, on the other side, the student, you have to decide what's best for you. So it's, again, not only the university has to give me everything. Well, no, or the school or whatever environment, learning environment. It's also a job from the student to search for what is more interesting or more useful for them. Just as whatever, I mean, we all completed a bachelor's degree. So we know that some classes we just seated there because we had to sit there. And till this moment, some of the things we learned were just only for passing the subject. But right now, I don't use them anymore because they were not the field that I chose or the pathway I chose for my career. So, yeah, universities should prepare better. Yeah. And it's now happening in the professors. I know that for sure. Private and public institutions are doing each and every effort they can to bring all their academic body to learn how to use these tools. And the students have, I think, some advantage because they already have this digital skill inside of them. But again, incorporating I think that's something that needs to be done in every classroom. Because if we teach our students, if we empower our students with these tools, once they know how to use them in the practical field, in the academic field, they can bring this to the other world, which is the job, the work field, the practical, the professional era. So yeah, I think it's a a two-way effort.
Wait.
Mhm.
Perfect. And Nice in our YouTube channel say, I have a foreign bachelor degree. What is the course to start with?
Well, to start with for what purpose?
I assume that to mix the I assume because the question was only like this. What is the
Okay.
course that to start with? I assume that is the way to mix the expertise and the AI tools. I
Okay.
assume.
Okay. Well, let me answer in that sense. So, whoever already has completed a degree, you also have to find a way to use that in the practical world. Because there's part of theory, there's parts of basic concepts that we all need to practice our profession, but like all that you know now needs to be put in the practical environment and apply whatever you learned in school to whatever you are asked to do in the in the workspace or whatever. So what I would say is the bachelor's degree is square one. Going through square two, three, four, or 20 is what you like to do, what's more interesting to you, what appeals the most to you, and find a pathway through specialization. We all finish our bachelor's degree being, we're not specialists. We have a general knowledge of our fields. But in order to enter into the specialist world, well, you need to study that. You need to specialize through continuous education. So we have a master's degree, but we also have diploma specializations. For example, we have shorter courses. We have this soft skills or hard skills courses that are for some few hours. All that added together brings a very customized way to specialize for our today's world. And of course, technology, software, apps, AI are in that option and equation.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And one more question here we have is, how can we redefine what it means to be an expert in this new technological landscape?
I don't think we have to redefine, because being an expert entails many aspects. It's not just one label to put in someone. Because I don't know, my grandmother is an expert in cooking. So she never went to college to do that. And she's an expert in cooking, but she can be an expert in cooking these, I don't know, these 5 particular dishes that are so delicious when she cooks them. And I am not. So there's an expert in that comes from practical knowledge. And there's also the expert that has been in, I don't know, in the manufacturing sector for years and years, through the contact and experience with this particular process that makes that person an expert. And then there's the other expert that has gone through several academic degrees or courses, and then that person becomes an expert. So I think that technology and AI is an addition to expertise, not just like a separate thing to look for. Is what I can use from what I have now around me that technology offers, that I can bring to my own practice, to my own knowledge and field, and which processes can be improved, what things can be streamlined. For example, in the past, I was telling you, in the past 25 years ago, I had to go through a stack of dictionaries this thick in order to find 1 or 2 terms. I remember particularly a very fantastic dictionary that many of us have at home, which is the Polytechnic Dictionary. So if you looked for the term oil, you ended up having 20 different definitions of the term oil. And you had to look for the one that suited best your text and your intention and your context and your translation. So it's like adding that dictionary to my bookshelves is good, but it's not the only thing that I need. I need more things. I need to learn how to use that dictionary. So again, AI is bringing more tools to us, is bringing faster access to knowledge or faster processing of information. So the expert right now would need to have that tag of AI in their whole equation.
Thank you, Dr. Perez Bonilla. Really wonderful exposition. And I am not more in agreement with Pope P in YouTube channels say the question and answer session you are now has enlightened me and solved doubts and had about continuous education. Thank you very much. And I am really share this thought with
I
her.
love to hear
Thank
that. I
you.
love to hear that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And really, I appreciate very much your insightful and thoughtful provoking presentation. Really, I enjoy it. And I thank you, and I would like to thank our audience for joining us today and for your thoughtful questions. We hope to see you in our coming seminars and have a wonderful day. Thank you very much, Doctora Paula Mariana Perez Bonilla. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
really
so much for this
appreciate you.
opportunity. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.